Fore Please.
Oh, what a shot. Oh, yes.
Life, have you seen anything like that? Fore Please. Now driving.
From Northern Ireland, and in Rory's case, a golfing prodigy since he was just a little boy.
Another one. McIlroy pours it in.
You start to think of the areas where he could come undone, the holes with water.
Oh, Rory. Oh, my goodness. The pressure is high, Frank.
Is this enough? It is!
Go. Go.
And go it did. What a shot for Rory McIlroy as the crowds roar.
All of those moments lead to this. But you said earlier, you used the term head spinning. I've never seen anything quite as head spinning as what this final round has produced.
Yeah, we used the term earlier, roller coaster.
But Rory threw it back a little deeper, was able to utilize the slope. The journey it's taken to get here, for all this history. McIlroy has his masterpiece.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fore Please, Now Driving, the official Masters podcast. I'm your host, Marty Smith. Rory McIlroy is the 89th Masters champion on a roller coaster day that began with a double bogey and included subsequent bogeys on 11 and 14, and a head-scratcher double on 13, then ended in a playoff against Justin Rose. McIlroy showed tremendous resilience and determination to remain focused and to win his first green jacket. The victory was fueled by incredible shots on 15 and 17 that golf fans across the globe will remember forever. He must answer the question no more. The demons are exorcised. McIlroy told me all week he was the most complete player he's ever been, that he could trust every shot, that there was no situation or scenario that he couldn't handle, and he went out and proved it. McIlroy will wear a green jacket in Augusta, Georgia for the rest of his life. And as the final putt dropped, he sobbed. And with that, he becomes the 6th player ever to earn the career Grand Slam, joining Gene Sarazen, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, and Tiger Woods as the only men to ever win all 4 major championships in a career. McIlroy is the first Masters champion to card more than 3 bogeys in a final round. I highly doubt he cares. It's my pleasure now to welcome Masters Digital's Jimmy Roberts into the show. As we sat down and prepared to chat together, you said, that's the damnedest thing I've ever seen.
It really is.
Explain.
I've been covering golf a long time. First Masters for me was 1991. I can honestly say that this is the most I've been looking forward to a Sunday in golf in all that time. Maybe, there may be 1 or 2 equals, but this is right up there. Just the storyline. I said it felt like Ali Frazier, McIlroy and DeChambeau. And, I think it was also, I don't want to say complicated, but it was influenced by the fact that Rory has had to shoulder the burden of talking about this for 11 years. And he's done it with grace. And, he mentioned it in the Butler Cabin talk with Chairman Ridley and with Jim and with Scotty. He said, I wonder what we're going to talk about next year. And, Marty, like you, I've spent a lot of my life putting a microphone in front of people's faces. A lot of times they're people who don't really want to talk, don't really have very much to say. I think Rory's always been incredibly gracious. I think he's been thoughtful, and I think that counts for something in this life. I once wrote him a letter. It was after the Ryder Cup in Whistling Straits. I did an interview with him, and he basically gave himself up to emotion and cried and talked about how it was so meaningful to him. And I just was struck by his honesty and the message. And I did something I really don't, I probably only done it once or twice. I wrote him a letter. It was very Rinaldi-like. I wrote him a letter and I said, it made an impact on me because I was thinking about my children and what the message is, and all the other children out there listening to him as he grappled not only with his emotion, but was honest, and the message was good. And I just think we need more of that. And I know it might sound silly, but I admire his talent, which is extraordinary. I think I admire just as much the way he's handled adversity and the way he's dealt with people along the way. So it was just a powerful day, I think.
He didn't make it very easy on himself. Fantastic, immensely popular victory.
Mm-hmm.
Started with double on 1. He had beautiful shots on 15 and 17, but 13 was one of the most head-scratching, perplexing things many of us have seen.
Mm-hmm.
Then 18 got weird, and ultimately he beats Justin Rose in a playoff. It was a journey, Jimmy, for him to get this done and exercise those demons and get to a place where he'll never have to answer those questions again.
Yeah, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted watching it. I just can't even imagine how this guy must feel having to have lived it. All that he went through, and to have been able to have... He talked a lot this week, as I know you know, Marty, about resilience and how important it is, and how bouncing back was something that he's very proud of. I mean, if that's a muscle he's been working on, he's Popeye, because those are some muscles, and he put them all to use today. When we look back on this round, I mean, that scorecard's got to look crazy. I haven't even really taken too close a look at it. Aren't an awful lot of boxes that aren't circles or squares or double circles, or just such a nutty day and exhausting.
I love the concept of resilience, and you're so right. He came in telling all of us that he's the most complete version of himself ever as a player and arguably as a man. There's a unique piece about him, I feel, coming into this week, and I wonder how he drew on that throughout this, because when you have a 4-shot lead leaving the 10th, it looks like it will be a coronation. And then it was anything but. Just a fabulous effort on his part, on Justin Rose's part. What do you think is the weight that he now doesn't have to bear anymore?
Yeah, it's funny. I did my piece this morning, my introductory piece, was about the weight for Sunday, but the weight that people were bearing. And I just think it's going to be really interesting to see what's next for Rory in his career. I wrote a book years ago about breaking out of a golf slump, and Johnny Miller, my old colleague, did a chapter with me, and he said something that I have never forgotten. Johnny's a very interesting man. He said, a man shouldn't be judged by what he accomplishes. A man should be judged by what he overcomes. And I just thought about that all day today with Rory, and how I'm guessing he must have put resilience and what it demanded of him in the front of his mind. He had gone, as you probably know, he'd gone before the Masters to speak with Jack Nicklaus and talk to him about strategy. Roy's a member of the Bears Club, where Jack lives down in Florida. Can't be too many other people that could be better to talk about strategy at Augusta National, or any other golf course for that matter, than Jack. But, he went about it in the right way. He did everything he possibly could, physically and mentally, to try and get to the next level, get to where he wanted to get to. And I just think it's a great message, that if you work hard enough, you take it seriously enough, good things can happen. It can pay off. Hard work pays off. Rory worked hard, and not hard in the conventional sense, although I'm sure it was hard work. But I don't think he left any stone unturned. And I think that's critical. I think he had to think about, what do I need to do? Because he's one of the most talented golfers out there. And I think he knows that. Everybody knows that. A few years ago, he was struggling with his wedge play, and it wasn't extraordinary today at times. But, he cleaned that up. I think he thought about, what do I need to do? Is it a strategy piece? Is it my emotions? What is it that I need to do? He used to come in here and he'd say he would change every year. He'd change what he would do. He would read. He would not read. He would come in and it would be how he would approach his practice rounds. He was here for a practice round 2 weeks ago. I actually ran into him. And he and Harry, I asked Harry, I said, what are you guys doing? He said, all we do is we're around the greens. That's all we do. And, he did what was necessary, and he figured it out. And I think it was a very, very popular victory. I cannot wait to see and read the reaction everywhere tonight, tomorrow, in the coming weeks.
Gene Sayers, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy. How do you define the historical context of what he's just done from the career Grand Slam perspective?
Well, you just did. I mean, there's only 6 people that have ever done it. I think it's probably more germane to take a look at the people who didn't do it. Arnold Palmer didn't do it. Sam Snead didn't do it. Lee Trevino didn't do it. I know I'm going to leave out plenty of big names, but
been a long week, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, but the whole point is that yes, only those great players that you mentioned have done it. But think about all of the Hall of Famers, and not only Hall of Famers, but creme de la creme of Hall of Famers. Tom Watson didn't do it. Never won a PGA championship. I mean, you can come up with a murderer's row of golfers that never won the career Grand Slam, but Rory McIlroy has, and it's exceptional. It was a historic day.
It is. I wonder what your perspective is on how much harder or the difference in challenge possibly that Rory had versus those other gentlemen. I know they played against great players. The field today is so incredibly talented. And, Jimmy, there's all these inputs. Rory made it very clear Saturday evening to us, one of the superpowers this week is I put my phone away. I don't look at my phone.
I wonder if I could get him to talk to my kids.
Same. I'm with you. Because I don't care who you are. All of us want to be impenetrable, and we want to be above the fray and the criticism and the hatred, but we're not.
No.
We are not. And the only way to do it is to disconnect yourself from it. And that's I feel like that's a different layer for Rory maybe than these other players managed.
Yeah, it's a complicating factor, no doubt. As you're saying this, I'm remembering he said one of the things he loves to read, and he said for the first time in a long time he's reading fiction. He was reading John Grisham this week. So maybe Rory needs to just read fiction. Who knows? I don't know. Whatever it is, he'll figure it out. I think it's going to be really interesting to see where his career goes next now that he's been unburdened by this. He's now won 3 times this early season. He had never come to the Masters having won twice. He won the Players and he won at Pebble. He never won twice coming into the Masters. He was in really, really good form. I think it's going to be really interesting to see if his results are any different, going forward. Does he really take off now? But, you could have said he was one of the best of the best now. You can't, it's indisputable. It certainly is. He's a rock star.
So what's your overall takeaway from now that he's crowned a Masters champion? Now he'll wear a green jacket at Augusta for the rest of his life. He's always been a great ambassador. To your point earlier, his talent is historic, and now there's nothing left to do.
Well, I don't know about that, but I do think, I remember I was around and covered Tiger's entire career, and I used to tell people, I would say, if you get a chance, Tiger was Halley's Comet. It happens once in a generation. I think Rory's 35 right now. He pays, close attention to his physical conditioning. You'd have to figure that he's probably going to be in his prime for another 10 years. I think it's going to be really interesting to see where he ends up in terms of his career accomplishments and, PGA Tour and Major Championship golf. Don't forget, the British Open this year, it's in Northern Ireland, although he did kind of make a mess of it last time. I think it'll actually be very interesting to see how he fares. Boy, I can't even imagine the party that they're going to have back home for him.
Hope I get invited.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. I appreciate your insight and your time. Thank you.
Absolutely. Always good to be with you, Marty.
Likewise. It was a wonderful week here at Augusta National. The 89th Masters Tournament was thrilling from start to finish, and an immensely popular, worthy champion was crowned. Before we depart, I'd like to take a moment on behalf of everyone here at Masters Digital to pay our respects and say thank you to David Loggins, the composer of the official Masters theme song, Augusta. His masterpiece immediately moves us emotionally to think, to feel, to remember. At the Masters, he will always be remembered. Thank you so much for spending your week with us here on Fore Please Now Driving. It's an incredible honor to bring the greatest sporting event in the world to you every day and every year in an intimate way. For our entire crew here at Masters Digital, I'm your host, Marty Smith. Be well.